I stood outside Mama's house in Atlanta, clutching a gift bag that cost me 3 weeks of tips. Inside, my siblings' laughter echoed like bullets. I was 32, and they still called me the failure. Not behind my back, to my face, like it was my actual name. My older sister Keisha opened the door, designer heels clicking. "Oh look, the failure actually showed up." She didn't even smile when she said it. Help us keep the stories alive, subscribe today. And please, share your location in the comments, it makes our audience feel like one big family. Back to the story. My brother Marcus appeared behind her, expensive watch glinting. "Ma, the failure's here," he yelled back into the house. I felt my chest tighten the way it always did around them. I'd been hearing that nickname since I was 14, since I dropped out of that fancy prep school they all attended. Since I chose community college over their Ivy League dreams. Inside, my youngest brother Dante barely looked up from his phone. "Yo, failure, you parked that raggedy Honda down the street? Don't want the neighbors thinking we broke." Everyone laughed. Everyone except Mama, who just sighed and turned back to her cake. That sigh hurt worse than their insults. It was disappointment made audible. I set the gift down, a Michael Kors purse I'd saved 4 months for, and headed to the kitchen. My niece Imani, Keisha's daughter, was there. "Auntie Shayna, why do they call you that?" she whispered. She was 8. Old enough to notice. I forced a smile. "Just a silly nickname, baby." But it wasn't silly. It was poison that had seeped into every family gathering for 18 years. And that night, I decided something had to change. The intervention happened 2 weeks later. Keisha called me to Mama's house on a Tuesday afternoon. I thought someone had died. Instead, I walked into an ambush. Marcus sat on the leather couch Mama bought after Daddy passed, Dante beside him. Keisha stood by the fireplace like a prosecutor. Mama wrung her hands in the kitchen doorway. "We need to talk about your life choices," Keisha began. She was 38, a corporate attorney making $200,000 a year. "You're embarrassing this family." I blinked hard, trying to understand. I worked 2 jobs, waitressing at the Magnolia Room and weekend shifts at a bookstore. I paid my bills. I wasn't asking anyone for money. "What are you talking about?" My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Marcus leaned forward. "Sis, you're 32. Still renting that studio in East Point. No degree. No real career. No husband." He said it like I was a failure checklist he was reading aloud. Dante added, "We got cousins asking why Keisha's sister serves them food at restaurants. It's humiliating." The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd served Keisha's law firm's holiday party last year. She'd acted like she didn't know me, then left a 15% tip. "I'm working on getting my bachelor's degree," I said quietly. I'd been taking night classes at Georgia State for 3 years. Slow, but steady. Keisha laughed. "At your pace, you'll graduate at 40. Meanwhile, Dante just made partner at his firm. He's 28. Mama finally spoke. "Baby, they're just worried about you." But her eyes said something different. They said she was worried about what people thought. I should have left that day. But family is complicated, especially when you're the youngest girl and you've spent your whole life trying to earn love that came free to everyone else. So when Marcus called 3 days later asking for a small favor, I listened. I shouldn't have. "I need to borrow $5,000, he said casually, like he was asking for $5. I almost laughed. Me? The failure? He wanted money from me. "Marcus, I don't have that kind of money." I was staring at my bank account, $3,247. My tuition payment for next semester. "Come on, Shayna. It's for a real estate investment. I'll pay you back in 2 months with interest. 20%. 20% of 5,000 was $1,000. That would cover my books and fees. My logic warred with my gut instinct. My gut was screaming no. But then he said the magic words, "I'm trying to include you in something for once. Thought you'd want to be part of the family business." They'd started a real estate investment company 5 years ago. All 3 siblings. Never once asked if I wanted in. Never once offered to teach me. I transferred the money that afternoon. It wiped out my savings and my tuition fund. Marcus's text came through immediately. "Good looking out, failure. Knew I could count on you." Even in gratitude, he couldn't use my real name. I stared at that text for an hour, feeling something cold settle in my stomach. 2 months passed. Then 4. Then 6. I never saw that money again. Keisha's wedding invitation arrived in a cream envelope so expensive I could feel the weight of it. Her fiancé Devin was a neurosurgeon she'd met at some charity gala. The wedding was at the St. Regis Atlanta, minimum $500 per plate. I was invited, obviously. I was family. But the phone call that followed made my blood freeze. "I need you to do me a favor," Keisha said. Not hello. Not how are you. My maid of honor can't make it to the bachelorette party in Miami. I need you to cover her share of the Airbnb. It's $1,200. My throat went dry. "Keisha, I can't afford that." "Seriously, Shayna? It's my wedding. This is important to me." I could hear her irritation crackling through the phone. "I just gave Marcus $5,000 I haven't gotten back," I said carefully. Silence. "Then, that's between you and Marcus. This is between us. Unless you don't care about being part of my special day." The manipulation was so smooth I almost missed it. Almost. But I caught it this time. The unspoken threat, "Pay up or prove you're the failure they say you are." "I can give you 300, I offered. It was money meant for my car insurance. Keisha scoffed. "Forget it. I'll just tell people you couldn't make it. We both know why." She hung up before I could respond. I sat there holding my phone, shaking. That night, I did something I should have done years ago. I opened a new document on my laptop and titled it, "The Real Story." I started writing everything down. Every slight. Every insult. Every time they'd borrowed money or time or emotional labor and never gave it back. The list was 14 pages long. Keisha's wedding was spectacular. I saw it all on social media, the ice sculptures, the live band, the custom Vera Wang dress. What I didn't see was myself. I wasn't in a single photo. I'd been relegated to a back table with distant cousins who didn't know who I was. During the reception, Dante gave a toast. "To my sisters," he said, raising his glass. "Keisha, the brilliant attorney. And, well, Keisha." Everyone laughed. Like I wasn't sitting 20 feet away. Like I didn't exist. But the real knife came 2 days later when Keisha posted her wedding album on Facebook. The caption read, "Surrounded by everyone who matters most. My amazing siblings Marcus and Dante, who have always supported me and made me proud. Family is everything." I stared at that post for 30 minutes. 347 likes. 62 comments. People congratulating her on having such a beautiful, successful family. And me? I was cropped out, erased, non-existent. I'd given her a $400 Williams-Sonoma gift, money I'd made working a double shift during flu season, and I didn't even warrant a mention. Something snapped. Not loudly. Quietly. Like a wire that had been pulled too tight for too long. I opened my laptop and accessed my bank statements. Every loan I'd given Marcus, $5,000 for real estate, $1,500 for car repairs, $800 for emergency dental work. None of it repaid. Keisha's borrowed rent money when she was between apartments, $2,000. Dante's investment opportunity, $3,000. Total, $12,300. I made $32,000 a year. I'd given them more than a third of my annual income. And they still called me the failure. The family group chat was called The Williams Legacy. I'd been muted in it for years, just watching messages fly by about their successes, their trips, their accomplishments. Mama would occasionally remind everyone to check on your sister, and they'd send me a thumbs up emoji. That was the extent of their concern. But that night, something in me cracked wide open. At 11:43 p.m., I unmuted the chat and typed, "I need my money back. $12,300. I've been tracking every loan. You have 30 days." I attached a spreadsheet. Detailed. Dated. With receipts. Then I waited. My heart was hammering so hard I thought I'd pass out. Marcus responded first, "Wow. Really? You're bringing up old stuff." Keisha followed, "This is embarrassing. We're family. You don't keep score with family." Dante sent a laughing emoji. Then, the failure finally grew a backbone. That word. That goddamn word. I typed back, "My name is Shayna. Use it, or don't contact me again." Mama called immediately. "Baby, what's gotten into you? You're causing problems." I felt tears burning my eyes. "Mama, they owe me money. I need it for school." She sighed that disappointed sigh. "Money comes and goes. Family is forever. Why can't you just let it go?" Because I couldn't breathe anymore. Because I was drowning in their contempt. Because I was tired of being invisible. "I'm letting all of you go," I said. Then I hung up. I left the group chat. I blocked Marcus, Keisha, and Dante on everything. I kept Mama unblocked, but I didn't reach out. For the first time in 32 years, my phone was silent. And terrifying as it was, it felt like oxygen. 3 months passed in strange peace. I picked up extra shifts, enrolled in 2 additional classes, and started seeing a therapist named Dr. Patricia Chen. She was the first person who told me what I'd experienced had a name: scapegoating. Families need someone to project their dysfunction onto, she explained. You were chosen for that role early. It's not about you. It never was. Those words cracked something open in my chest. But the real earthquake came when Mama called in January. Her voice was small. Your Uncle Raymond passed. He left you something in his will. Uncle Raymond was Daddy's brother, the one who'd always snuck me $20 at family gatherings. The one who'd told me, once, you remind me of myself. Too soft for this family. I drove to the lawyer's office in Buckhead, expecting maybe a few $100s. Instead, the attorney, a white-haired man named Mr. Peterson, slid papers across his mahogany desk. Raymond Wells left you his property in Decatur. The house, fully paid off, and $50,000 in savings. He specified you were not to tell your siblings until after the transfer was complete. My hands shook. Why me? Mr. Peterson smiled sadly. He left a letter. The envelope was yellowed, dated 3 years prior. Inside, Uncle Raymond's shaky handwriting: Shayna, you're the only one who stayed human. The others got so caught up in looking successful, they forgot how to be decent. This house was mine and your aunt's. We had no kids. It should go to someone who knows what struggle is. Build something beautiful. Don't let them take this from you. R.W. I cried in that office for 20 minutes. Mr. Peterson brought me tissues and water. When I could breathe again, I asked, "Who else knows?" He shook his head. "Just you, per his instructions." I should have stayed quiet. Should have moved into that house silently, built my new life in private. But Mama called crying 2 weeks later. "Your siblings want to meet. They miss you." She was lying. I could hear it in her voice. But I agreed to coffee. Just coffee. We met at a Starbucks on Peachtree. Neutral ground. Keisha arrived in her Mercedes, Marcus in his Tesla, Dante in his BMW. I pulled up in my 10-year-old Honda, and I saw Marcus smirk. We sat outside, the December air biting. "So," Keisha started, stirring her latte. "Mama says you've been difficult lately. Not answering calls. Being distant. I asked for my money back. You ignored me," I said evenly. Dr. Chen's voice in my head: "State facts. Don't engage emotionally." Marcus laughed. "You're still on that. Jesus, Shayna. We're family. That money was a gift. A loan you promised to repay. With interest." My voice didn't shake. That was new. Dante leaned back, crossing his arms. "Look, failure." "Don't call me that," I interrupted. His eyebrows shot up. "Excuse me. My name is Shayna. You're going to use it, or this conversation is over." For the first time in my life, I saw uncertainty flicker across their faces. Keisha recovered first. "You're being ridiculous. We've always called you that. It's a joke." "Jokes are funny," I said. "What you've done to me for 18 years is abuse." The word hung in the air like a grenade. Marcus stood up. "Abuse? Are you serious right now? We're successful because we worked hard. You're bitter because you didn't." I stood too. "I'm done. With all of you. Don't contact me again." I walked to my car, and for once, nobody followed. Moving into Uncle Raymond's house felt like stepping into a different life. It was a small craftsman bungalow with a wraparound porch, hardwood floors, and a backyard with a garden Aunt Leslie had planted before she died. It needed work, new paint, updated fixtures, but it was mine. Fully mine. No rent. No landlord. No judgment. I spent February renovating. I'd wake up at 5 a.m., work on the house until noon, then head to my restaurant shift. On weekends, I painted walls a warm sage green, replaced cabinet hardware, refinished the floors myself using YouTube tutorials. My coworker Jasmine, a single mom with 2 kids, started helping. "Girl, you sure you didn't do construction in a past life?" she laughed, watching me install new light fixtures. "Just motivated," I said. The truth was, every nail I hammered felt like reclaiming myself. Every wall I painted erased a year of failure. I was building something they couldn't touch, couldn't diminish, couldn't take. I'd saved the $50,000, using only a small portion for renovations. The rest went into an investment account. I wasn't stupid with money. I never had been. In March, something unexpected happened. Jasmine mentioned she needed a place to stay. Her apartment complex was being demolished. "I can pay rent, I just need first and last," and that's wiped me out. I looked at her 2 beautiful kids, and heard myself say, "Move into the spare bedroom. $500 a month, utilities included." She cried. I cried. We hugged in that kitchen that still smelled like fresh paint. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was building family. Real family. The kind that showed up. April brought warmth and something else, a message from Imani, my niece. She was almost 9 now, old enough to have Instagram under her mom's supervision. "Auntie Shayna, why don't you come around anymore?" My heart cracked. I loved that little girl. But responding meant opening a door I'd sealed shut. I called Keisha instead. Professional. Distant. "I'd like to take Imani to the zoo next Saturday." "Just us." Silence. "Then, I don't think that's appropriate. You've been hostile to this family." My grip tightened on the phone. "I've been protecting myself. But Imani doesn't deserve to lose her aunt because you can't respect me." More silence. Finally, "Fine. 2 hours. I'm setting a timer." That Saturday, Imani and I walked through Zoo Atlanta, eating overpriced ice cream and watching the pandas. "Mama says you got mad at everyone," she said carefully. I knelt down to her eye level. "Baby, sometimes adults hurt each other. I had to create distance to stay healthy. But I love you. That never changes." She hugged me tight. "They still call you that name." I told Mama it's mean. My eyes burned. "What did she say?" Imani looked away. "She said I wouldn't understand grown-up stuff." We spent the rest of our time talking about school, her friends, her dreams of becoming a veterinarian. When I dropped her off, Keisha was waiting on the porch, arms crossed. "You're not going to poison her against us, are you?" I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Designer everything, perfect hair, and eyes full of fear. "I don't need to poison her against anything. The truth does that on its own." I drove away and didn't look back. May exploded with possibility. My English professor, Dr. Helena Morrison, called me into her office. She was a black woman in her 60s, with silver locks and kind eyes. "Shayna, I'm recommending you for the Woodruff Scholarship. Full tuition, plus a living stipend. You're one of the best writers I've seen in 20 years of teaching." I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. "But I'm 32. I'm not traditional," she held up a hand. "Age is irrelevant. Talent is talent. But there's more. I run a nonprofit that teaches creative writing to underserved youth. I need a program coordinator. $45,000 a year. Benefits. I want you." $45,000. That was nearly $15,000 more than I made working 2 jobs. I could quit waitressing. Focus on school. Breathe. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, absolutely yes." Dr. Morrison smiled. "I've watched you, Shayna. The way you show up even when you're exhausted. The way you help other students. You're a leader. Start date is June 1st. I walked to my car in a daze and sat there for 30 minutes, crying. Happy tears. Healing tears. I pulled out my phone and almost called Mama. Almost. But then I remembered, they didn't celebrate me. They tolerated me. This victory was mine alone. I called Jasmine instead. "We're going out. My treat. I got a real job." She screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. That night, we went to the Sundial, a rotating restaurant downtown, and I watched the city lights spin around us. I was becoming someone I'd always been underneath, someone capable, strong, worthy. The failure was dead. Shayna Williams was rising. The call came at 2 a.m. in July. "Mama." Crying. "Baby, it's Marcus. He's in the hospital. Heart attack. They don't know if he'll make it." My body went cold. 35 was too young for a heart attack. Despite everything, he was still my brother. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, I heard myself say. The hospital was harsh fluorescent lights and antiseptic smells. Keisha and Dante were already there, looking smaller than I'd ever seen them. Mama pulled me into a hug that I couldn't quite return. The doctor says he's stable. But baby, we need to talk. Here it comes, I thought. We sat in the waiting room, and Keisha spoke first. Marcus's business is failing. The real estate thing. He's $300,000 in debt. My stomach dropped. Dante continued, he asked us to co-sign a loan. We said no. He needs family support. They were looking at me. All three of them. You want me to co-sign a loan for $300,000? My voice was flat. Keisha leaned forward. Or contribute what you can. We're all pitching in $50,000 each. Family helps family. The audacity was stunning. Breathtaking. You want me to give him $50,000 after he never repaid the $5,000 he borrowed? Mama touched my hand. Shayna, he could die. Do you want that on your conscience? And there it was. The manipulation. The emotional blackmail. The same pattern, just higher stakes. I stood up slowly. Marcus will recover or he won't. That's between him and God. But I'm not giving him money. I'm not co-signing anything. And the fact that you'd ask me proves you haven't changed at all. I walked out of that hospital and didn't look back. 2 years later. I'm sitting on my porch, watching Jasmine's kids play in the backyard I've transformed into a garden. I graduated summa cum laude last spring with my bachelor's in English. I'm starting my master's in the fall, fully funded. The nonprofit I coordinate has grown from 15 kids to 60. I'm writing a book. I bought a new car. I paid off every debt. Mama calls occasionally. Brief conversations where she asks how I'm doing and tells me my siblings miss me. I'm polite but distant. They never apologized. Never acknowledged the damage. Never returned the money. Imani is 11 now, and I see her monthly. Keisha allows it because Imani demanded it. That little girl has more backbone than her mother ever will. Sometimes I think about the girl I was at 14, hearing failure for the first time and believing it might be true. I think about the woman I was at 32, desperate for scraps of approval from people who saw me as less than. And I look at who I am now, 34, thriving, surrounded by chosen family who celebrate me, who see me. The Williams family still posts on social media about their successes, their vacations, their perfect lives. They never mention me. And that's fine. I've built something they can never take, a life defined by my terms, my values, my worth. I'm not the failure. I never was. I'm Shayna Williams. I survived them. I'm building a legacy they can't touch. And I'm finally free. The girl who was called a failure built a life that mattered. Not through revenge. Not through bitterness. Through the quiet power of refusing to accept their narrative. Sometimes the best victory is simply becoming yourself. And that's exactly what I did.